Hello, and welcome everyone to the next episode of Language Talks. This is a show where we explore how language, voice, and content shape connections, cultures, and careers. Today, we are honored to have with us a truly inspiring guest, Ms. Bidisha Bhaduru. She is joining us from Pune. With over 32 years of experience as a business communication and corporate trainer, Bidisha has coached everyone from fresh graduates to senior managers, even CXO level executives across India, Japan, Germany, and beyond. From helping global teams bridge cultural gaps to guiding professionals in mastering presentation skills, email writing, business etiquette, her work has touched countless lives and industries, from software to manufacturing and more. In today's conversation, we will explore her journey, her approach to English training, fascinating cross cultural stories, and get practical tips for anyone wanting to communicate better at work. So let's get started. Welcome to the show, Vidisha.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lalita. It's a pleasure being here, honestly.
Likewise, lovely to have you here. Could you tell us how your journey into corporate trainings began?
That began quite some years ago when Symbiosis gave me an opportunity to train the corporate. And it was it was really a moment where I got excited as well as apprehensive because I did start before that. I started training the adult learners English. I used to teach the foreign students as well, but I had never got a chance to teach in a situation where I have to face the managers in a corporate setting. So that was, I was apprehensive. Honestly speaking, I was apprehensive. And yet at the moment, I was excited. I think it was
Okay.
Kirloskar Pneumatics, if I'm not wrong, a
Okay.
good 25 years ago, if not more. So it happened then, and that's how it started. And slowly, I started taking baby steps, and I started, engaging with the corporate more and more as I got more opportunities, and that's how it began.
Okay, that's wonderful. Vidisha, it's nice to know the start of your journey. You have coached people from varied backgrounds since then, like students, CXOs, engineers, software teams. So, how did that diversity shape your approach? Please tell us about it.
Yes, so very fortunately, I got a gamut. I really got the opportunity to go through the entire gamut of professionals, right from students to senior managers, junior managers, senior managers, and then the CXO level people. So, what I realized was that you don't get to use the same recipe for all. You can't do it. So what I understood is that what works for the students doesn't work for the GTs. The same thing, what works for the GTs doesn't work for the senior managers, and that doesn't work for the CXO. So I cannot have that same recipe. So what I decided and what I understood is when we approach the students, because I teach the MBA students as well, who are probably on the brink of joining a career, and the GTs who are fresh, the absolutely fresh, the fresh lot, who've joined the corporate, they are different. So the way that you engage them, it's going to be completely different. Where you have to be, honestly speaking, I have had to learn a lot of things in the sense to be able to communicate with the younger generation because they are very intelligent. If you're talking about the millennials and the Gen Z, they're very intelligent. And you have to constantly keep them challenged. And the pace is a faster one, a higher one. And you have to give
Yeah,
them
right.
activities, role plays, something which is relevant, something and I honestly, I tell them even to use Insta. So if you don't talk in their language, they don't understand. So you have to start talking in their language. The moment you start talking
Okay.
in their language, they think, oh yeah, I mean, this is making sense to me. So it's, you almost become 5 or 10 years younger than what you are then with them. But when it is the senior management or the CXO level, they want complete clarity. The ROI is very important. They need to know why am I investing time here. So that clarity is a very, very important. It's one of the key parts of a training. Once that clarity is established, then it's more of a facilitation and not training, because I don't really have that. I cannot be at a level which is higher. I have to be on the same level, if not lower. So I give them an opportunity to discuss, uh, to reflect. Even sometimes I have used sheets of paper where I've asked them to write what they really want, and I have written on the, say, for example, on the whiteboard, or one of those charts, that, okay, fine. So let's just combine what you want, write them on the board, and then, or on a chart, flip chart, and then go across and do and try and meet their needs. And then at the end of the course, actually ticked off the ones which have been met. So with the seniors, with the CXOs, they are very, very committed to what they have come here for. They're clear in their mind why they're investing the time. So they want results. And we have to be on the same page there. So there, a little bit of, maybe jokes and laughter is okay, but not much. I mean, you have to be absolutely, focused on what they want and what they need. That's very, very important there. GTs, especially with GTs, I'm doing one right now, and two batches. One is a GT batch in a company, and the other one is a senior managers. So for the GTs, you need to be more of a mentor, and they need confidence building. They're so young. They need a little bit of, they also need the safe space to be able to make an error and be guided a little bit. So for them, you need that. At the same time, you have to go on making them challenging so much, so that it's a fast-paced thing, and give them activity-based, anything which is activity based is going to, or competition, something like, you pitch an idea, let the other group pitch an idea, and let's see whose is better. And they are very excited by these things. So you have to keep them engaged by making them do things. They don't have the time to think. They just want to do things. So make it as much activity based as possible. Whereas when we talk about the senior manager, I had this experience in recently. I conducted a cross-cultural sensitization workshop in a manufacturing company who is actually it's a joint venture, I think, because of which they have to interact with the entire world. So there, I took some questionnaires, and there I saw that these are senior managers there, and they had come to know, what are the nuances of different cultures that they need to be aware of before they start interacting with them, and they should. And when these questionnaires, there's some questions, these were questions which made you think. So when they thought about these, then that aha moment comes, and it is different for different individuals. For one senior leader, it might just come, oh, I never thought about this. Or for another leader, it might be a different question, which is giving that, is that trigger, which makes him or her realize that, oh, I never thought about this in this perspective. So when they are enthused, when their needs are being fulfilled, when they reflect and they realize, then the senior managers are engaged that way.
Oh, okay.
They're different.
Different ways.
Yes.
Nice. Thank you. You chose English language for facilitation and training.
Yes.
So how did that happen?
Because I studied the language, and I wanted to continue teaching the language. And as I started teaching the language to the adult learners, I found it very exciting, in fact. I mean, it was, and it was a lot of learning for me. I was learning so much while I was teaching, because there were so many questions that I had for myself, and the questions which came from the students and the participants, so to speak. And I always thought that I would teach English. So that is how it came.
Okay, that's nice. Worked with big names like Syngenta, Volkswagen, Hitachi, and many more, of course. So, which assignment challenged you the most? So, and why? If you would like to share it with us.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I would again say that I feel blessed. Honestly, the fact that I got to work with such big names gave me a lot of exposure. And I truly feel grateful that I got these opportunities to learn. And with every challenge, I feel that I grew and I evolved. And so you mentioned three names. Yeah.
I'm
And in
sure there
fact,
must be
yes,
many
yes,
more. I,
yes,
I
there
just
are,
picked up
there are. No
randomly two,
problem,
three.
no problem. And very fortunately, one of them, I mean, was one of the most challenging. It was Volkswagen, and this
Oh,
was, I think, in the year 2006 or a little 2006-7, when the Germans had come down to India, Pune, to set up their
mhm.
first Volkswagen plant, and
Okay.
that is when the HR heads, they came for a language training. And
Mhm.
you can imagine, we are already intimidated by, I think, we as Indians get a little intimidated by, I don't know, we do get intimidated by people who are from a different country. We had these people, and, I had this gentleman, I forget his name, I think his name was Chris. He was the HR head who had come down, and he was 50 plus, and he was not very comfortable with the English, and I had no word of German with me, nothing. I said, oh my
Oh,
God,
okay.
what am I going to do? So I felt helpless in such a situation. And then I told myself, okay, fine, let me see what I can do. And then I saw that, he is very, very clear about what he wants. So when I saw that clarity in him, that gave me a lot of confidence. I said, okay, fine. So he knows what he wants, and I know what to give him. So now I know what to do. So that was one of my most challenging assignments, I would say, till date. And then I actually asked him, why don't you give a talk in front of a group of Indian students or something like that? So he was very scared. He was mighty scared. I said, no, there's nothing to be scared. Honestly, you can speak the language. It'll give you more confidence to speak in front of others in a different language, in English. So that didn't somehow happen.
Okay.
But
Um,
yes, the journey was something which I would say was a learning experience for me, maybe for him too. Yes.
okay. In your experience, what is the most common communication pitfalls these professionals face today?
Yeah. So if you talk about the communication pitfalls, what I have seen now, mostly many of my trainings are based on the language and the use of language. And there's a huge gap, if you see, because we get a lot of good people from the two-tier, three-tier cities and towns, very good, talented individuals who come, and then they finally join the corporate sector and they rise. But what happens is that probably somewhere the language is not good enough. And in India, and especially because many of our companies work with different countries in the world, you cannot say that I will speak in some other language, or I'm okay if I don't know
Hmm.
the language well enough. So I have
Right.
seen a couple of problems crop up in this situation. One is the language itself. Language, as in, when you talk about being able to articulate, which many people can't because of lack of vocabulary, because of lack of maybe exposure to the language, lack of familiarity with the language. They are not able to express what they want to say. That is one. The second thing which I have seen is, since I teach mostly Indians, I do get in touch with these global people sometimes, yes, but that's not all the time. So when we talk about the Indians, there is sometimes a very strong mother tongue influence. In fact, right now I am coaching one individual in one of the IT concerns. He's the vice
Mhm.
president of a company. As now he's getting feedback about his mother tongue influence, which is creeping in his language, and it's almost making it difficult to understand. Now,
Oh, okay.
these are some things which should be, in fact, addressed pretty early. And if they are not, then that's a problem. So these are two things which I see. And of course, the other being, very often there are people who are not very confident about what kind of body language is right or wrong. They don't know. So this is a lack of awareness, I would say. So if there is lack of awareness, they are likely to give a wrong message
Okay.
to an individual, whether internally
Right.
or probably to a different country. So these are possibly the most common pitfalls. A lot of people use wrong words. Wrong words. They will use wrong words because all around us, we have a lot of wrong English being spoken. So they pick it up. There's a lot of difficulty to unlearn and relearn. This process is tough because many such errors get fossilized. if used for a very long period of time. So that also
Right.
happens. So these
Okay.
are some things which I have seen.
Okay. I mean, these are really very important, crucial when
Yes, they
it
are.
comes to working in the commercial world.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Could you share a success story where your training brought about visible changes in an individual or any team?
Yeah. So what I go back, I think I go back about 9 years ago. There was this situation where I went to an IT company and they needed someone for one of their leadership people, and they wanted that gentleman to be trained. And when I approached him, he seemed the language was not. It was a problem, yes. The language needed some help, but I understood that his personality is also something which needed help in the sense that he was an introvert and he felt intimidated by many people around him, because of which he was not being able to get promoted to the next level. So that was a big thing for him and the company because he was a very talented individual. So what happened then was I had a frank talk with him. So very fortunately, he felt safe with me and expressing his emotions and his fears, his whatever his insecurities were. He expressed those with me, and then we had a very candid talk, and we had a discussion where I said that, see, we need to address these situations. You know what is at stake, right? So he was very clear, and then. It was almost over a period of 30 hours or 40 hours. I don't quite remember the time, but then
Okay.
at the end of that period, I was so amazed. I can't tell you. This gentleman had been transformed. I'm not
Okay.
only talking about his language skills, which had improved over that period, he had become a confident, bright individual suddenly. And
Wow.
so much so that the CEO of the company came and appreciated the change and said, I have never seen him like this before. I mean, I felt, oh, what a feeling of
This is
fulfillment.
right. It's a great feeling.
It was. Honestly,
Amazing.
yes,
Vidisha, you have worked with Japanese, German, and Indian professionals.
yes.
So, what cultural nuances stood out to you in business communication?
Yeah. So, what I have understood is since I have
Mhm.
interacted with the Germans, the Japanese, and the Indians, what I see is when we are talking with the Germans, they're very clear. They're very, very clear, and they are blunt. If they tell you something, they want this and they don't want this, they are going to tell you that if say, for example, if I'm giving them something they are not happy with, they're going to tell you on your face. They don't mean anything bad. They're just telling you the facts. That's it. That, I don't need this, I need this. So now that is something which, as Indians, it is perhaps a little difficult for us to take because we belong to the completely different type of culture. There are these two types of cultures which are there. One is the high context culture and one is the low context culture. So we as Indians and many other Asian countries fall into the high context culture. Now, in the high context culture, a message needs to be camouflaged. It doesn't come directly. Whereas the low context culture, like countries like Sweden, Norway, and Germany, and some others, many others, in fact, they believe in saying what they want. And they don't have any problem saying if they don't want anything. They are very frank. And it is sometimes a little difficult for the Indians to take, but then that is how it is. When I went to the Japanese, it was slightly different. They're extremely disciplined. They're extremely process driven. I remember the one of the CXO level gentlemen who I was training asked
Mhm.
me for a plan. I just went there on day one saying that, okay, fine, probably that is going to be one ice breaking session. But he wanted a plan from me on day one. And I was a little taken aback and I said, oh, I should have been ready with the plan. So, what are you going to do with me in day one, day two, day three, day four? You have to tell me. So, that told me that when interacting with the Japanese, you
Okay.
need to be on the top. You need to have everything planned. Whereas, Indians, when it comes to Indians, I feel, I don't know, maybe it is, when you compare them with the Japanese and the Germans,
Mhm.
we are
Mhm.
a little less serious, maybe, not as serious. Maybe we know the language because Japanese and Germans are not natives. So are we, but probably we speak better than them. I don't know what the situation is. We take it a
Okay.
little less seriously than the other non-native speakers that I just spoke to you about. So that's the difference that I found.
I see. Okay, this is very interesting. So, what are some practical tips for Indian professionals working with multicultural teams abroad? What would you, how would you guide them? What would you tell them?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is probably the most favorite part of my, speaking. Honestly, believe me, I have taught in so many places where there have been these cultural wrong alignments. The alignments were not right, because of which there were repercussions. And that's the reason why there was feedback. And that's the reason why I came in to understand the situation. So I would definitely say one thing is very, very important for the Indians who work in the corporate sector to understand that whenever they're doing business with any other culture, it is extremely important to know that culture, the culture that they're interacting with. Because knowing that culture, knowing their communication style is going to be very, very important as you communicate as an Indian. When I communicate, I should know their communication style. So, for example, I should not get offended if my German counterpart tells me that, well, I'm sorry, your PPT was not up to the mark. But he doesn't mean anything
Mhm.
personally. So I should be ready for that. So if I don't know the culture, if I don't know their background, if I don't know how they are going to communicate, I wouldn't know. So it's very important. The second thing that I have also noticed is that Indians are not great at small talk, They're not great at small talk. And I have one experience to share here where I went to one IT company where I was given access to their calls because they were making, and they were messing it up. I mean, they were going wrong in so many places. They said that, why don't we give access to the calls, and why don't you try and actually, understand what they're saying? Because even if you make them role play, that will not come the conversation to the customer, say. So I got an access to the call, and there's this call I distinctly remember. So this lady who is from the state says, "Hi, Amit. So how are you? How was your week? How was your weekend?" And Amit says, "Yes, Lisa, it was good. Thank you. I'm fine. Thank you. So your ticket
Oh,
resolution number is this." And
oh,
she like came down from where she was to, "Yes, yes, yes, Amit. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you."
God,
So that
that
is
was
it.
very blunt.
So now this is not because he wanted to be what he was. I mean, that is blunt, and he appeared rude, but a little bit of small talk, a little bit of response would make this whole thing grow a long, long way, honestly. So that is what I told people. The rapport
Yes.
building is very, very important. You cannot communicate with anybody if you have not struck that chord, if that chord is important.
Right.
So that's the
Hmm.
second thing one needs to know. The third thing, of course, is time, sense of time, which we all know that we are not good at it. We all Indians, all of us, we know that. And when interacting with either the Japanese or the German, I mean, two different cultures, but time, the sense of time is very, very important, very important. Uh, the fourth thing which I can think of is the way that you should talk when you're talking with non-native speakers. Now Germans and the Japanese and the other, I mean, I'm not talking about the native speakers, I'm right now talking about the non-native speakers. You as an Indian has to use simple words, and you have to go slow, if because we learn a lot, we learn, we are familiar with a lot more English words than probably they are. Our speed is faster than they speak, the non-native speakers. Of course, with the native speakers, it's a completely different ball game. I mean, we have to
Okay.
learn a lot. We have to learn a lot with the American or
Yes. It's
yes,
a long way to go.
yes,
Right.
yes, yes,
You're training people for various industries. It could be
yes,
IT, it could be
yes,
manufacturing. So I'm sure you must have devised various training methods for them, right?
yes, yes, yes.
So please tell us, how do you go about it?
Yeah. So what I realized is because I go to the manufacturing sector as well as the IT sector, they're very different. So when you go to the IT sector, it is a much more informal atmosphere because it's informal. Now, for them, it is mostly the scrum meetings, the daily stand-ups, where they need to be able to articulate what they did yesterday, what they are planning to do today, and what are the problems. That's what they are supposed to talk about. And there, they also interact with the customers and clients over other platforms like Slack, like Teams. They use these a lot. There too, they need to be clear in their communication because Indians have a problem. Indians cannot talk to the point. They say a lot of things, but they don't say what is required. And whereas
Right.
the native speakers don't have time. And the non-native speakers also, particularly of the low context cultures like the Germans, don't have time. So you just tell them, like the Dutch, they don't have time. You just tell them what is needed. And now here we are in India, we're going to spin a story and then come to the point, but that doesn't work with them. So for the IT professionals, there's a lot of, I
Mhm.
mean, WhatsApp communication, Slack communication, Teams chat. So we analyzed all those and we actually use them. We actually use them. So, okay, fine, let's chat. Let's chat and let's, have this chat on WhatsApp. Now, I don't get access to their platforms, but I said, okay, fine, I'm going to use WhatsApp and let's just chat in the class, actually have a chat between two people over a problem and let's see how how you can solve this problem because they are actually doing it. They're using chats on Slack and MS Teams to solve problems even with the client or their internal stakeholders. So I have used that. And of course, I mean, the entire atmosphere is slightly more open and informal. But the moment you step into the manufacturing industry, it changes because there's a lot of hierarchy and there's a
Okay.
lot of order.
Mhm.
And this hierarchy is something which has to be respected. So there, nowhere can I talk about, Slack or Teams or WhatsApp. So this needs to be emailed. This process needs to be, documented. Whatever has happened has to be. So it's different. And even the salutation, the way that you address a person, that's different, and etc. And a lot of I've seen, and one more thing, a lot of old English is used in the manufacturing sector, and you cannot change
I
that.
see.
So you have to
Okay.
accept that and go accordingly. Because if
Okay.
you tell them
Mhm.
that, stop writing. So for example, one particular person asked me that you just said that, I should write Dear Mr. Joshi or Dear Mr. Patel. And that's how I should address a gentleman or client, whoever the person is, vendor. But I always write Dear Arunji, and Arunji likes it. I said,
Oh, okay.
well,
Mhm.
if Arunji likes it, you better continue. So, I
Oh,
mean, who
yes.
am I to say, please write Dear
Right.
Mr. Patel? No. If Arunji appreciates, then please continue. So I said, and see there, you have to accept a lot of things. You cannot use what is there here. You have to be more, you're more focused on documentation. You
Mhm.
have to adapt yourself. So that
Right.
is what I do. I try to adapt myself and to the organization culture because it is different and I have to do that. So that is how
Right.
I try to give them what they require. I cannot try and say that, no, this is wrong and that is right. I cannot. I have to adapt. So that is how
Okay.
generally I go about.
Okay. That's interesting. Being flexible is the way.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, with remote work and online meetings, have you noticed any communication challenges that are emerging new?
Many, many, honestly, many. Because
Okay.
I have, since, we all have, I think, since COVID, pre-COVID, maybe pre-COVID, people used to have these virtual meetings. But post-COVID,
Yeah.
I think the trainings also started. Training
Yes.
started. So we got a lot of opportunities of training online. And many companies still date. I did two last year, two. And these were because what has happened is post COVID, the entire situation has changed. Because of which there is one office here and the people are all over India. Now they need to be trained. If they need to be trained, they join from their own places. Now, when we talk about training, You are a trainer yourself. You know how challenging it is if it's a remote team. If this team is remote, if everybody joins from their own, cities all over India, what I feel is the first challenge is technology, because some might have a good internet
Right.
speed, some might not. You
Yeah.
can't say anything there. What will you say that, if the person says that my net speed is not good, so I am going to drop off the call? You can't say anything to that person, can you? No, you can't. There's a technical glitch. So my camera is not getting switched on. Can you say anything to that person? No, you can't. So now what happens? You accept these situations. Because you accept these situations, what happens? Finally, you don't really get the whole class, as in the session, with say 20 members joining from different areas. You don't get them because of number one, the technical glitches, number two, the internet speed, number three, many of these people, the participants who are going through this training, do it during their office hours, because that's where the HR has decided to take a couple of hours from their office hours to make them go through a training, which is probably needed. But they also have 10 emails to write. They also have a report to send. So what do? They probably switch off the camera, and then they start multitasking. And then you tell
Oh,
me how much
yes.
absorption will be. Absorption of
Mhm.
what we are trying to, as trainers, whatever we are trying to
Correct.
say, there's not going to be any
Mhm.
absorption then.
Right.
Because now for him, the email is like, important, and probably the training is secondary, may not be as important. Now, it depends on people, of course. There are people who are not doing anything, but there are a lot of people who are multitasking. That is number two. Number three, rather. Then you go to the fourth point. You think that, a person is sitting in front of the computer the entire day. And for the training as well, the person is sitting in front of the computer. The brain is going to be exhausted, tired. That's not possible. So when you are in a classroom setting, when you're moving around, you're looking at individuals, you're maybe cracking a joke, it's a completely different atmosphere. We know it. We've done both, and we know the
Mhm.
advantages. Yes, you don't
Correct.
have to commute. Yes, you are
Mhm.
flexible. Yes, you can join from anywhere in the world. Yes, but the effectiveness of the training goes down, I feel. And if I have to show anything, so it's a PPT or a chat, we try as much as we can, but I feel more comfortable with the offline trainings than the online. Honestly, that's what I feel.
That's true. I think all trainers will agree to this, right?
Yes, yes.
And trainers and trainees as well.
Also, also, yes.
Grammarly and GPT and Meta and all of these things are here now for a long time now. And so, what do you think? Are they helping or harming the authentic business communication that is going on in the world?
That's a great question, honestly, because this is the transition period that we are all going through. And the moment these AI tools came, I mean, initially they were just help, the Grammarly, and there were some others also, there were some others, Quick Tune, some Tune, Word Tune. These were only helping. They were helping you correct your language. They were probably detecting your
Mm,
errors. But
mm.
what happened later was ChatGPT came in. Once ChatGPT came in, now I think the entire writing has been outsourced. So now uh, we are in a position, we are at a state, where we are neither there nor here. And since we are not, we are the old schoolers. It takes time for us to accept ChatGPT. But can you say ChatGPT is bad? No, you can't, because ChatGPT is useful and ChatGPT can help. That's a fact. Now,
Definitely.
what I try and tell I mean, whoever I train, whether they're students or they're participants, I say, okay, fine. You have an extra help now. But what I would say is, you first write what you need to write. Then you get it corrected by ChatGPT or any other AI tool that you want to. So what happens is, you're not outsourcing your thinking. You think first, you write, and then probably get it polished and also learn how to write. And funnily, I have seen this. This is something, because I ask others to do it. I try and do it myself as well. to see what happens. So just the other day, I asked ChatGPT to write an email just to check. The ChatGPT wrote a wonderful email. Then I saw a phrase which sounded a little funny to me. Strange. No. This is an awkward
Okay.
phrase.
Uh-huh.
What I did, I copied and pasted that phrase on ChatGPT and said that, do you think this is right? And ChatGPT said it's not right. It was a phrase from the ChatGPT letter.
Correct. So
And
it's contradictory.
So the ChatGPT wrote, no, this is an awkward construction. A more natural construction will be this. So what is ChatGPT giving? Had I not, seen that phrase, or if I didn't have ability to spot that phrase, and where is that ability coming from? My familiarity with the language, my relationship with the language, how much I know the language. If I know the language well enough, then I'm able to identify. If I don't know the language well enough, that email is going to be sent with that awkward phrase. So that's what I generally tell people, that, yes, these things have come to help us. We're going to use them, but we are not going to become over dependent on them. We are not going to let them control us. We are going to control them. If we can do that, and don't outsource your thinking brains, please, because they are unique. So you use your thoughts, you write, let ChatGPT polish, take it back from ChatGPT again, go through it, see whether the tone, words, everything is absolutely correct and suitable for that email, for that individual. Only then do you hit send, otherwise don't. So that's what I generally advise.
Absolutely spot on. Vidisha, you have been in the English language training field for so many years. But in addition to English, which other languages fascinate you?
If you ask me this question, I would say a couple of them, maybe French and German. They fascinate me because when people speak, I really envy them. I wish I could speak like that. But and also because I like to travel, and so many places I have felt that, oh, I wish I knew German, I wish I knew French.
Yes.
This happens, and I have tried Duolingo, but I don't think that's enough. But yeah, these are the two languages that fascinate me. That is
I see.
apart from the Indian languages. The Indian languages, I'm restricted by about 2, 3, and I don't know more than that. But I wish I knew Gujarati. I wish I knew Gujarati. Yeah, that's one language. Also, another language, which I feel I knew is Haryanvi. I wish I knew. It has this rustic touch, which I really like.
Yes. It's very sweet also.
Yes.
I wish you the best
I thank you
to
so much.
learning these languages in
Let's
future.
hope so. Maybe one day I'll
Yes.
speak in Haryanvi.
Yes,
I
you
don't
never
know.
know.
Never know.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Vidisha,
you
for
for
joining
having
me.
me, Lalita. I mean, it was a beautiful opportunity for me to share my experiences, and I really felt good sharing them, honestly. Thank you for
You're
having me. It
welcome.
was a pleasure on my side.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you again. Have a
Thank
good day.
you. You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you, everyone, for joining me in conversation with Vidisha. See you on the next episode. Till then, have a good day. Bye bye.